Dinosaurs are not killed by meteorites. This is the biggest misunderstanding. What really kills them is 10,000 times more terrifying than meteorites. 66 million years ago, a little planet hit the Earth. Do you think the dinosaurs at the crash site are the most miserable? Wrong. They are the luckiest. Because they died in a second. They didn't even feel the pain. And those dinosaurs, thousands of kilometers away from the crash site, are the real hell. They will experience high-temperature thaw in an instant. Tens of billions of tons of rock will be blown into the sky. Then it will fall back to the ground like a fire. The whole Earth will become a huge oven. The temperature of the Earth will rise to 300 degrees. The forest will burn. The sea will boil. The skin of the dinosaurs will be charred in a few minutes. But this is not the worst. Those who hide in the cave hide in the water. The lucky dinosaurs will face the darkness and hunger for 10 years. The sun will disappear. All plants will die. The food chain will collapse completely. The last group of dinosaurs will not be fried to death. They will not be burned to death. They will starve to death. And the most terrifying thing for scientists is how long the time between the first dinosaur's death and the last dinosaur's death is. It's not a few days. It's not a few months. It's tens of thousands of years. What does this mean? It means that in the tens of thousands of years after the crash, there are dead dinosaurs on the Earth every day. There are dinosaurs struggling every day. There are dinosaurs swallowing their last breath in despair every day. This is the place that really makes people dizzy. Now, let's go back to the day 66 million years ago. An ordinary morning. The sun rises as usual. The warm sunshine is sprinkled in the dense forest. The triangular dinosaur bows its head and swallows the dead plant. The Tyrannosaurus rex is looking for its territory in the distance. The Y dinosaur slides gracefully in the sky. There is no biological way. The dead god has locked them up. At this moment, in the space tens of thousands of kilometers away from the Earth, a huge rock of 10 to 15 kilometers in diameter rushes to the Earth at a speed of 20 kilometers per second. How fast is this speed? It's 60 times faster than a bullet. It's 58 times faster than a particle. It only takes less than a minute from Beijing to Shanghai. This rock comes from the outside of the Jupiter orbit. It has drifted in space for millions of years. Today, it finally found its target. The countdown is 3 hours. The dinosaurs on the Earth are still eating and drinking. On the plains of North America, a group of arachnids are moving. They are the largest land animals at that time. They are 21 meters long and weigh 30 tons. To maintain such a body, they have to eat a ton of leaves every day. The mother dragon has just laid a few eggs. They don't know that these eggs will never hatch. The countdown is 20 minutes. The sky begins to change color. The blue sky slowly turns into a strange orange-red color. The birds suddenly stopped singing. They fluttered their wings and ran around. The dinosaurs stopped walking. They stretched their necks and looked around. What did they feel? But they didn't know what it was. The countdown is 1 minute. A brighter light appeared in the sky. The light was more dazzling than 1,000 suns. The whole world instantly turned pale. Dinosaur eyeballs, hundreds of kilometers away, were directly hit by strong light. They lost their sight on the spot. They couldn't see anything, but they could feel something terrible was approaching. At that moment, the whole Earth was shaking. The little planet hit the ocean on the Mexican Yucatan Peninsula at a speed of 70,000 kilometers per hour. The energy released by the impact was equivalent to 100 billion atomic bombs exploding at the same time. What does this mean? The strongest nuclear bomb ever made by man, the yellow sandlight bomb, was nothing in front of it. The water at the impact point evaporated instantly. It didn't boil slowly, but disappeared directly. The ground was torn like tofu. The rock melted into salt at extreme high temperatures. Then it was thrown into the air at a height of 160 kilometers. The Earth was blown away by the impact at a height of 330,000 square kilometers. These rock fragments would fall back to the ground like fire and rain in the next few hours. 5 seconds after the impact, all living things within 1,500 kilometers turned into ashes instantly. They didn't burn to death, they just evaporated. There were no bones left. Dinosaurs here are the luckiest. They didn't even have time to feel pain. 2 minutes after the impact wave spread outward at the speed of sound. How terrible is this force? It can directly separate the skin from the body. The 30-ton dinosaur was thrown into the air like a toy. The tree was broken by its back. Then it burned instantly. The air itself became a boiling flame. 30 minutes after the impact, tens of billions of tons of rock fragments flew into space. They circled around the Earth and then turned back in an idiotic state. The whole Earth was covered with fire and rain. This rain lasted for several days. The fire on the ground could not be extinguished because the fuel fell from the sky. 45 minutes after the impact point in Mongolia was 13,000 kilometers away. The dinosaurs here thought they were safe, but they were wrong. The high temperature was approaching at a visible speed. The surface temperature rose from 30 degrees to 50 degrees. Then it was 70 degrees. Then it was 90 degrees. In a temperature of more than 90 degrees, life can only be calculated in seconds. 90 minutes later, the surface temperature in Mongolia reached 150 degrees. Some dinosaurs hid in caves. After the smoke formed, they were kept cool for a while. 2 hours after the impact, the spray cloud began to overheat. A strong heat wave caused a super flame storm. The air pressure in the valley dropped, forming a vacuum state. The flame was sucked in. The dry vegetation was ignited like a gunpowder barrel. The firewall was sweeping the Earth at a speed of 14 kilometers per hour. A few hours ago, the North American continent of the dinosaur paradise became a living hell. 5 hours after the impact, the temperature finally began to fall. But the more terrible thing was brewing. The dust raised by the impact covered the whole sky like a thick cloth. The sun was gone. Scientists estimate that these dusts have been circulating in the atmosphere for at least 20 years. The Earth turned from a furnace to an ice cage. The temperature dropped to below freezing point. Without sunlight, the plants could not act as a light. The dead leaves on the land slowly withered. A large number of algae in the ocean died. In 2023, a study published in Nature magazine showed that the impact caused 20,000 tons of salicylic acid dust. These dusts caused the plants on the Earth to be unable to act as a light for nearly 2 years after the impact. The Earth entered the winter. The temperature on the surface dropped to 15 degrees. The food chain began to collapse from the bottom. A week after the impact, the food resources on the Earth were severely short. The first thing that could not be carried was the giant algae dinosaurs, the triangle dragon, and the duckmouth dragon. These giant algae animals need to eat hundreds of kilograms of plants every day to survive. But now, all the land is blackened. They gathered in groups to look for green everywhere. Wherever they went, it was a dead end. Hunger made them weaker day by day. The pace was getting slower and slower. Finally, they fell to the side of the road. They became the last remaining meat-eating dinosaurs. The last bite. The king of the land was starving. All the domineering and ferociousness in the past were gone. Only the instinct to survive was left. They wandered on the plains of the empty mine. They were desperate for food. In the end, they either starved to the point of being exhausted or to fight for their only food. They died together. The ocean was not peaceful either. After the algae disappeared, the oxygen in the sea dropped sharply. The ancient beasts that once dominated the ocean died one by one. The bodies floated on the sea, drifting with the waves. The creatures that had been living in the dinosaur era for hundreds of millions of years disappeared, one by one. But some of them survived. In the underground cave, in the muddy swamp, in the tight crevices, there were some small animals hiding. Insects, amphibians, and those that were as big as mice were not as good as animals. They hid in the dark, relying on the small amount of food they had, or the rotten plants they ate, to survive the disaster. Between 2012 and 2022, a study was conducted on the remains of Tanis in North Dakota. They found the dinosaur leg bone fossil. The leg had no bite marks or missing parts. Experts think it was torn off by a strong force of nature. After several years, even more than 10 years, the dust in the sky finally settled down. The sun penetrated the thick clouds again, but the weak ones were firmly scattered to the ground. The ice and snow began to melt, turning into small streams. The rain washed the dark surface, revealing the soil below. The plant seeds buried in the cracks slowly awoke under the nourishment of water and sunshine. First, the thin, tender teeth came out, and the thick dust dug up a little bit. The earth finally began to breathe again, and those small mammals that were trembling in the dinosaur era finally crawled out of the hiding place. They ran, hid, and spawned. The number of species is increasing, slowly occupying the empty, ecological position. The world has changed. The era of climbing animals is officially over. The era of insulting animals has begun. More than 60 million years later, one of them stood up, learned how to use tools, learned languages, and finally became the new master of this planet, which is us humans. So you see, that little planet didn't destroy life. It just changed a way to restart the Earth. If there was no disaster, the dinosaurs may continue to rule the Earth, and we humans may never have the chance. Finally, I ask you a question. If that stone didn't hit the Earth, if the dinosaurs didn't extinct, what would the Earth look like now? Can we humans still stand on the top of the food chain?